Sup, Collegiate Camp. This is Brent here, coming to you from my studio / gaming lair / bedroom, honestly. Eric and Jenny asked me to make a short video about my victory, and talking to them leading up to this. I was like, guys, this isn't really my comfort zone. And they're like, yeah, it is. Actually, I knew I had to do this video too. So this year camp, it's weird doing it all online, and everything's a little bit different, but I still believe God is still going to bless people through this. It might be a little bit different, but we can still declare victories, and we will see victories from this camp too. This is my victory. So going back probably to the beginning of last year, 2019, I was pretty steady in what I was doing. I had a job, kind of maxed out where I was at. I was a supervisor, and I was kind of realizing that, hey, maybe there should be a change here. I wasn't, to be perfectly honest, I wasn't there where I wanted to be financially, and there was a lot of praying going on, a lot of looking around, just seeking God on what I should do next. And I remember going to Winterfest, and I kind of had one of those prayers like, God, I'll do anything. I trust you. And he kind of hit me back with, do you really trust me? Like, if I really take you to where I want to take you, will you trust me through that? And I remember I talked to a few friends about it, and they were like, God's going to take you somewhere, and you just have to trust him through that process. And it might be a hard process, and you're going to see God's glory through that. And so fast forward a little bit after Winterfest, February 25th to be exact, I went into work. I worked third shift. I found out the place I was working at, it was a hospital, was going to be closing. They told me 2 months it was going to be closing. And I remember sitting down at my desk thinking, you know what? I got 2 months. I can figure this out. I can do it. So I sat down, wrote out a plan. I knew I was going to get 2 more months worth of paychecks. I was figuring stuff out financially. It's like, yep, I can do this. And I go home and go to bed, and I wake up maybe 4 hours later to a phone call. I worked night shift, so it was only like 12 in the afternoon, to a phone call saying, you know what, the job you think you were going to have for 2 more months, that's gone. In less than probably 12 hours, I was out of a job. I was laid off. And the realization hit me that financially, I was going to be set for maybe a month. And with that, I had a lot of events planned. Of course, some of you guys know I'm on the Cotter team. We had a lot of events planned, and I'm like, God, but I already had all this stuff planned out. Now I'm without a job, and I'm going to have to be job searching, and there's just so much unknown. And I remember that morning, God speaking to me saying, trust me. And I was like, okay, God. So fast forward, we go through the first month. We're making it. I start doing a couple things on the side. You know, I got my eBay game on. Me and Jenny kind of have that in common. Then filling out applications, sending out applications into a new field, actually. I wanted to get into a totally different field. I wanted to get into school for that field. So I was also trying to get into school, seeing what classes I could take for that, and started sending out applications. And when I say start sending out applications, I was probably filling out anywhere from 10 to 15 applications a day. And for about the first 2 months, I'd say March and April, I heard nothing. And during that time, I'm like, God, I'm trusting you, and I feel like you're telling me to do this. But honestly, I am hearing nothing right now. This isn't going to work out at the current pace we're going. And I remember again having one of those moments where God just says, do you trust me? And so kind of took a piece of that humble pie and went on. So we get through May, and surprisingly enough, like, I was only like financially set from that job I had probably for a month before stuff was going to start getting tight. And we're 3 months into this, and lo and behold, God's providing through ways I never thought imaginable. You might be thinking, how does this guy have a studio? I do. I play video games, and I started streaming thinking I could be one of those guys that were streaming, and it wasn't big time at all. And lo and behold, like, there was a small audience there, and I never thought that would open a door to even coming close to benefit financially. And all of a sudden there was a check one day that came in, and it was enough for a bill I had to have paid. I remember opening that and thinking, wow, I did this. And it was like God hit me instantly. He said, you didn't do that. I did that. It's like, hey, God, I get it. You can, I get it. It was just those first 3 months. I was like, God, I might not be hearing from any jobs. I might not be getting any callbacks, but I'm still trusting you. And so we get into June, we're getting into convention and all that. And I started to get interviews, and it was pretty exciting because a few of the places I had multiple interviews, but then I start getting no's. And I don't know if you've ever gone through an interview process and you think you have a job and you get told no. And it's because they want to get somebody that has more experience, or they like you, they think you're fantastic, but then they say no and you don't really have a reason why. I believe it was the Thursday before our regional convention. I had a conversation with actually Eric and Jenny, and I told them, guys, I'm up to 8 interviews now, and I've been told no on every single one. And just talking to them and praying with them, actually, I remember Jenny said to me, these interviews are preparing you for what you have in the future. I was still worried that, God, how am I going to make this work? And it was all like, I was really concerned about me, but I was still getting thumped by God saying, trust me. I mean, I'm talking thumped by God. If you've never been thumped by God, trust me, it's an eye-opening experience. So we get through June, we're into July, still going for interviews. At this point in time, I'm probably going to an interview once, twice, 3 times a week. I'm talking every place is giving me calls, but I'm still getting no's. And during this time, I started to write down in a journal, and I started to have a prayer journal. And every single one of those interviews I wrote down when I was going, and I prayed about it. And every single time I came back, I wrote down no, but I still trust you, God. And it was hard. I'm like, just full honesty. There was times I was like, God, I don't understand this at all. I've been without a job now for 5 months. I'm going month to month paying stuff. I don't want to have to tap into savings or anything like that. And every time it would come back to the same thing of trust me. And so we get to camp, phenomenal camp last year, and was able to work that. And just the comfort and the reassurance I got at camp, even though like looking at it from the outside, there was honestly, I was going for interviews and stuff, but I was still hearing the answer no. I didn't know what was going to happen. And so we get out of camp, we're still going for interviews. We go through July, interviews, no after no after no. We get to August, more interviews, no after no after no after no. September, we get there. I believe at this point it was 23 interviews, and I had received 24 no's. You might be thinking, how do you have 23 interviews and 24 no's? I had a place call me back twice telling me I didn't get the job. They just wanted to make sure I knew I didn't get that job. I wrote that down, saying, God, I get it. I that job wasn't it. You have something better for me. And so we get into the 1st of September, and I felt like God was telling me, expand your search. And so I did. I never really thought I would have to move to find work to make a living, but God was like, would you expand your horizon? So I did. And I started to apply for places. And on interview number 25, I had a place that was about an hour and 45 minutes away from my home. Something totally totally out of my comfort zone. Go for the interview, and I get the job. And I was like, God, is this what you want me to do? And it was still the same thing. Trust me. And so go through orientation. I start week 1. I'm making that hour and 45 minute drive there and back every day for training. Was making plans to eventually move when I could get stuff situated around. We get done with that first week of training, and what I had expected them, what they had originally told me during the interview process as far as working hours and being able to still go to church and everything, they said it would work out. I get done with that first week, and they said, actually, we gave the job we were going to give you to somebody else, and we want you to work this. And it was a schedule that was not going to work with church. I knew instantly that it just wasn't going to work. And I was sitting in the office, and they were still talking about what they wanted me to do and different things. And I remember, again, God say, trust me. And I was like, God, you mean, am I supposed to get up and walk out of here? Financially, like, this is a good job. I could make this work. And he said, trust me. So I got up and walked out. At this point, I've gone 8 months without a job, 7 months without a job. Financially, paying my bills. I'm still paying my bills, doing that adult life thing. And I remember driving home, I called a few close friends and talking to them, and they were like, you know what? God's got this still. And many times throughout this process, I would go and just get in my car and drive. That's my war room. That's my prayer room, actually, is my car. Some people might think I'm absolutely insane if they see me when I'm driving, because I'm either one, worshiping, two, praying, or a combination of both, and it probably looks insane. But I remember many times getting in my car saying, God, I don't know what is going to happen. I'm getting worried. Like, honestly, there was a lot of fear there. God kept on saying, trust me. And so we move on to the 1st of October, and I get a call from a place I had applied a couple months beforehand. It was actually a place close to home. Do one interview, went really good. Do a second interview, went really good. They called me to the place. It was a school. Did a third interview, went phenomenal. And I remember calling all my close friends, people that have been praying for me, family and stuff, and saying, hey, I think this is going to work out. I think this is what God has for me. And about 2 days later, I get a call saying I didn't get the job. And I remember sitting back in just disbelief, like, God, I thought for sure everything I've gone through, everything, that this was what you had for me. And honestly, I didn't feel like I heard anything from God that day. I remember just calling and talking to friends and stuff, and they would encourage me saying, Brent, we don't understand this either, but God still has a plan. And so I remember it was probably 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, the day I got that call. I remember getting up and just getting in my car and going for a drive. And it was a long drive. Just listening, praying. And I remember God reminded me, it's like, remember that prayer you prayed back at Winterfest saying, God, I trust you. I said, do you still trust me? And I said, yes, God, I do. I don't understand anything's going on. I'm willing to move. I'm willing to do anything, but I want to be able to do what you want me to do. And so the next morning I got up, I was getting ready to go to the gym, and I'm sitting in my car and I get a call, and it's the lady I had just interviewed with the day beforehand. And she said, Brent, are you sitting down? I said, actually, I'm in my car. She's like, well, are you driving? I said, no. She's like, good. I really want to hire you. She said, I can't really explain it. There were some things that went on. Other people didn't want to hire you, but they don't have control over that. She's like, you're going to be my employee. I want to hire you. And at this point, I'm sitting in my car blown away, because I know it wasn't me. It wasn't anything, but it was God moving in this situation. And she said, are you still looking for a job? And at this point, I'm low key freaking out in my car. Like, yeah, I would love a job. On the inside, I was exploding. Like, yes, I want this. She's like, well, how about this? Like, I know we said no beforehand and like what we had talked about. She's like, what about 5,000 more a year? Like, unreal shock. I was like, yeah, that sounds awesome. Yeah, let's do it. She's like, well, when can you start? I was like, anytime you want me. She's like, what about Monday? I think it was a Wednesday when she called me. I said, yeah, Monday sounds fantastic. She said, awesome. I know this is the plan God has for you here. My boss told me that. And I was honestly blown away. I remember one of the first things I did, I called my mom. Of course, you got to call mom and let her know. And I'm pretty sure my mom had a throw down, shout, dance service in wherever she was. I think she was at home working. The joy that brought me to be able to hear that from my mom and her praise God for it, because she knew too that it was just God. And then I actually called Jenny. That was the second person I called. I tried to call my brother and he ignored my call. Brothers. But I called my sister instead. And the first thing she said was, that is God. And no doubt that it was God. And walking through that, did that solve all my problems? No. But that was just one victory God gave me. And it's something I can look back on, and anything I go through, I can see if God can do that, he can take me through anything. And it doesn't matter. I mean, I'm going to be perfectly honest with you. That was just step one of some stuff I went through, and still stuff I deal with. I could go on for a long time about different victories I've had. And now I can look back at that and say, if God can do that, if God can take me from being working to being unemployed for 8 months, never missing anything, never suffering financially, when realistically I should have been just probably working somewhere after a month. And looking back at it, being blessed, never missing a day of stuff I had scheduled with church stuff, camp, whatever. It is absolutely mind-blowing. And it was all God. And I just want to encourage you, like, if you're going through anything and you're thinking, well, that's awesome for you, Brent, God can do the same thing for you that he did for me. And I'm not saying like you might be jobless right now, but it doesn't matter what you're going through. God can still move in a mighty way, in an unexpected way. But that's why we have these victory stories. And that's why it's important for us to share these victory stories, is because we can look back at what God's done for me or for somebody else. That's just the power of God's blessings for us. And I just want to encourage you guys today. God can still move and God can still bless. Thank you guys. I hope you have a blessed week. Hope you enjoy the rest of the camp. I know we have some awesome stuff lined up. And yeah, have a good one.